So today's video is going to cover the no, not the dangers of a plan B, but the dangers of a plan B. Okay, so why is plan B so dangerous? Well, the reason is simple. Plan B is dangerous because of the following. It breeds comfortability, and once you feel comfortable in a situation, you lose that necessity, which is pretty important because necessity is what drives change, right? If you aren't comfortable, if you aren't feeling any necessity now, it becomes hard to have conquest. This is why you have so many rich guys who, you know, they push, they get rich, and then staying rich is a problem. So they fall off the bandwagon. Right? I had someone I spoke to, he said the hardest part isn't getting rich, it's actually staying rich. And the reason that is because the necessity for you to keep what you have kind of drops, right? Because you get so indulged in the world of wealth that you lose, and this happens behind the scenes. You don't see this stuff on social media at all, but I'm here to tell you that it happens. Okay. Obviously, this is from mentors, not myself. Okay, because I'm just like you on this journey. I'm just documenting everything that I have seen. All my observations. So, you know, you see this, and you kind of really learn the necessity for, well, the fact that you need to have necessity in order to drive that change in your life. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't. There's two reasons they don't feel this necessity, and it's firstly because they don't acknowledge where they are right now, and they don't accept the fact that they need to change. And so it's so ironic. I heard this from an Uber. The first time I took Uber, this was the conversation I had. His name was Eagle Man. I don't know why his name was Eagle Man, but his name was Eagle Man, bro. I asked him like, "Hey, what's your name?" He goes, "The name's Eagle Man." Okay, that was a. I was trying to mimic an accent there. I did a very bad job, so I apologize. But anyway, we're talking, and I just, at that point, I just started up my company, and I was talking to him about just, some of the issues, and that was like me literally 2 years ago. Okay, this was me venting to an Uber driver about my company, and he goes, like it comes down to acknowledgement and acceptance, and he had this long lecture, and this kind of stuff sticks with you. It was the first Uber driver I ever had, and it's been the foundation for the reason I'm still doing what I'm doing today is because I acknowledge the fact that right now I'm a 19-year-old South African, okay? The odds are completely against me, okay? I never had rich parents. I never had this, I never had that. So statistically, I should just get a job and be average, okay? But what you have to understand is that to be exceptional in life, you have to be the exception. And if you aren't willing to be, the exception, if you aren't, you're never going to be exceptional and you won't live an exceptional lifestyle. People don't understand that. Everyone thinks that they can get exceptional results from doing normal things, and it's a big flaw in today's society, especially online. Okay, you see like a lot of these things. I don't want to say what, but a lot of these things that delude people into thinking that making money is easy, and it's not. It's not easy. Okay, it's a process, and failing is part of that process. And I mean, I've been doing this since I'm 15 years old. I'm now 19, okay? I've been trying at this for a long time now, okay? I've gotten some traction, but I'm nowhere near where I want to be, okay? So this is literally me just documenting my journey, trying to be as transparent with you guys as possible so that, you know, in a few years from now, you can understand that you as a South African in this country can do the same thing, okay? I do not have rich parents, like I said. I don't come from any spectacular background. Really, I'm just right now an average teenager who's just trying to make it. So anyway, back to what I was saying. Necessity drives change. Okay. Now, what you got to understand, right, is that let's talk a bit more about role models because I think that's it's a very important thing in people's lives, especially when you come from an average background. It's the following. Okay. I had a friend tell me this quote the other day, um, and it's the following. Not all role models are good people. Okay. Not all role models are good people. So what do I mean by that? I actually, I'll explain it the story. Okay. So one day there was this kid and his dad, and sorry, there was actually a father with two kids, and they were brothers, okay? And they grew up to be adults, whatever, and one kid turned out to be a mess, okay? The one brother turned out to be a hobo. He was on drugs. He stuffed his life up. It was a mess, okay? And then the second kid turned out to become a massive success. He was the founder of a huge company and he was just making so much money and he lived his best life. Okay. So one day, an interviewer came up to these two kids, all right? They were brothers. And the one kid just like was a complete mess, right? So the interviewer went to the hobo kid. He said, okay, why are you so poor? He said, well, okay, because my dad was an alcoholic. Okay. His two brothers share the same dad. So interviewer was like, okay, it's interesting. So then he goes to the rich kid, and he's like, he goes, okay, why are you so rich? And he goes, because my dad was an alcoholic. So the moral of the story is, you don't have to take lesson from superheroes all the time. Oftentimes, when you have an average background, you get to see a lot of what not to become. And when you speak to these people, this could be your uncle, this could be your family members, your friends, whoever, just someone you know. If you sit down and have a chat with them, you'll see very quickly the things that they did to end up where they are. No one just no one just ends up like that. There's obviously a process and a chain of bad choices. Now, with that, you kind of get to steer your compass in the right direction away from, you know, making choices that will make you end up like that. If you thought of someone in your life right now, there's probably someone you could pick up or at least think of who is someone you don't want to be. Okay. So hopefully this makes sense and hopefully this helps. And yeah, thanks for your time and stick around for the next one because we're gonna cover more. But yeah, chat soon. Cheers.